Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining the Revenue Optimists. We're a space where go-to-market leaders and revenue operations and systems teams can come together to learn from one another in order to grow their businesses. My name is Dave Nelson, and today I'm very fortunate to be joined by Maschal Malek, who's the product owner of go-to-market systems at Asana. Maschal, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, David. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so Maschal, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what it means to be a product owner?
Well, like you said, I'm a product owner of go-to-market systems at Asana. It's an interesting title. It's an interesting role. You usually see business systems analysts and such on these systems teams. We sort of take it a step further and actually own the different parts of our funnel. So I own prospecting, pipeline generation, data enrichment, account planning and sales compensation areas of Asana. So it's any tools that fall into that area for our sales teams. I'm basically sitting there making the roadmap for that. How do we want those tools to look 12 months out? Planning the projects there, working with our technical teams to figure out how we can build those things, and then also working with our revenue operations teams and marketing operations teams to get the requirements and sort of translate that to technical terms.
That's amazing. That I really like that organization because I haven't heard of that before. So it sounds like at Asana you have owners of different areas of your whole process on the
Mhm.
system side. So you'd probably have to interact and overlap in that Venn diagram with a whole bunch of the other product owners, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I have to interact with the other product owners all the time. I'm currently working on a project where I'm working with two other product owners, because it sort of, touches opportunities and the lead generation, a few different components. So like I may own one area and they may own another, and we have to interact a lot to make sure that we're fulfilling all our stakeholders' needs.
I believe it. I believe it. Okay, so now on that note, who would be the stakeholders that you'd be fulfilling for?
I personally work primarily with the revenue operations teams,
Okay.
so making sure the sales teams have what they need to do their work. But I do also work with the marketing operations and finance operations teams as needed, depending on the projects. Like when it comes to annual planning for accounts, have to work with finance ops as well. So it sort of goes everywhere, but the revenue operations team is my primary focus.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. And perfect for our kind of viewers, because I know a lot of folks are in revenue operations. So this would be fascinating to hear kind of how that marriage works and overlap happens. But before we dive into that, can you tell us a little bit more about Asana, what Asana does?
Yeah, Asana is like a collaboration tool in a sense. I like to say, imagine you have tasks, you have projects, you have, messages. You just have a number of things that you're trying to manage. Asana is the one place that you can do all of that, and you can also connect your external tools to really help you keep things organized and to collaborate efficiently. So I use it on a personal basis for my baking business on the side,
Ah,
actually, just to keep track of orders and stuff. But I also use it at Asana every single day to manage all of my work.
cool. Very cool. And I didn't realize that you had a baking business on the side. That's fun. What kind of stuff do you bake?
I focus on cake pops and chocolate
Nice.
chip treats. It's sort of been taking a little slow recently just because Valentine's Day was just so crazy, and it still
Okay.
has kept me a little tired and away from baking. But yeah, my cousin and I do this on the side, and we just manage our orders on Asana because it's easier to keep track of everything there and get notifications when things are coming up, collaborate on there, make sure we both know what's going on.
You're going through a really cool exercise right now, evaluating for artificial intelligence. And
Yeah.
that's obviously a very hot topic these days. Everyone's looking at both how can we leverage artificial intelligence to make everyone more efficient and effective, but also what are the things that we might be able to build or create that can be commercialized or even just used internally to make everyone's lives easier. Do you mind telling us a little bit more about the exercise that you're going through right now and how you're kind of broaching that subject?
Yeah, one of our initiatives as a company is actually to incorporate AI where we can. We've incorporated it into Asana for our customers and for ourselves. We've incorporated it into an AI bot that we can use internally rather than having to go to ChatGPT. And you can sort of go in there, and there are different things like, oh, for help with sending out a review to someone, or for help with sending out an email to someone, et cetera, et cetera. And now on the system side, we're looking at how can we integrate AI into our workflows? How can we make our sales reps' lives easier? How can we save them a few steps? And so a lot of the tools that we currently own, like Focus, have an AI piece that they've already added or are currently adding, which is amazing. It's so fun to see how these AI tools work within the tools that we already own. But there are just so many use cases when it comes to AI, and we've like sat there for hours on end, like whiteboarding what are the different use cases, not only in sales, but also customer success, customer support, pre-sales. How can we help? And we've come up with like just a plethora of use cases. And then it's like, well, no one tool does all of these things because AI, we're just so early on here that each AI tool does like one or two things right now. And it's like, great, let's add some into our systems, but we can't cover all these use cases. So we decided let's come up with 4 or 5 use cases that we're going to test out in the next year within our org. We're going to try to make our sales reps' lives easier by choosing the 4 use cases that are going to have the most impact on them now that there are tools out there now to support. And then if that goes well, if this goes well, we will have every single product owner within my team go out and find AI tools for each part of their own funnel. So I would be looking for stuff for prospecting and pipeline management and enrichment. Someone else might be looking for it for the CPQ side, and so on and so forth. And so it's great because we've identified that like conversational intelligence is a big one for sales reps. Follow-ups when it comes to calls or emails, like writing call scripts or writing those emails for our reps would be great. Being able to give a pre-meeting summary of like what you should talk about and a post-meeting summary of, this is what we talked about and these are next steps. Those are the things that we've identified we want to work on during our pilot in the next year.
Nice. That's amazing. And so when you went through that, are you building? Are you buying? I know you've already built the internal bot that people can communicate with. You have things like POCUS. How do you go through that exercise?
Yeah, we had a lot of discussions about build versus buy. It's a tough one because the landscape is changing so quickly. I bet you by the time we're done with doing this in the next year, all of a sudden there's gonna be a new tool that does all of the things in one.
Yep.
And there's also the side of like, do we just build it ourselves? Yeah, it's going to cost a lot upfront, but it might save us a lot of money in the future. We do have a bunch of people who are very knowledgeable with AI, and we do have our little AI bot that we're already building. So some of the things we have a team that has already built out some of those bots that is really helpful. But I think our big thing is like we're trying to keep people in Salesforce. We're trying to keep people in the tool in like one tool or 2 tools. We don't want people to have to feel like they need to jump around from one place to another. And so we're trying to get that within Salesforce. So really focusing on like, does it make more sense to build or buy there? And I think every use case is going to have a different decision. But so far, for the ones that we've identified, we're going to pilot, we decided we'll probably buy. We'll probably find a tool that does each thing or a tool that does like 2 of the things, and put them together, run them through like something like Snowflake first or whatever other database system we might have. That's more stuff that I am not technical enough to know. And then we'll push that into Salesforce into like custom interfaces.
Nice, nice. And so when you went through that exercise, because I think if I heard you correctly, you're looking at things like conversational intelligence, the follow-up emails after interacting, pre-meeting summaries. So before you go into a meeting, understanding what's happened in the past to give me a digest to prepare me for it. And post-meeting, I'm actually not sure what the post-meeting summary is. Is it just like what happened
What
in that meeting?
happened? It's like taking that transcript, getting that conversational intelligence, but also providing you with, here are the follow-ups we need to do. Here are the next steps. Here's everything,
Nice.
essentially.
Smart. Yeah. And so how did you isolate it down? Because those are obviously four great use cases and
Mhm.
there's a million others. How did
Yeah.
you decide on those?
Yeah, we have a team that actually like started this project before our team jumped in to help, and we're working with them pretty closely. And they actually spoke with our sales reps, as did we, and sort of got feedback from them on like what are they spending most of their time on that they wish was automated. And I think that they also sat there and looked at what is going to provide the most amount of value in a short amount of time, given that we're trying to do this as a pilot. It's not like if we wanted to do exactly what we would want to do, it would take 2 or so years. It's like, what can we get out there as quickly as
Right.
possible? So that's what they identified as like the most bang for your buck at the moment. And
I
we
believe
we
that.
just ran with it. We're like, well, yeah, we have other suggestions, but we agree with you. Like, well, let's run with it.
Nice. Yeah, that's incredible. It's a hot topic for everyone, I think. And so that's really neat to hear that you're kind of vectoring in on those. We'll want to kind of follow up with you to hear how it went, what you recommend, what did you learn from it
Would
going
love to
forward.
provide updates. Yeah.
Nice. Internally, we've done some fun things and using largely OpenAI and ChatGPT, but training our own bots for things that are mundane, like security reviews. Because you're exactly right. You mentioned it earlier. There's a huge questionnaire, and they're largely the same. And so we trained the bot with all of the answers that we've already gone through so that then our reps can just feed it in to say, hey, please provide me with all of the answers to these questions. And then, of course, you have to review because it's not perfect. You would need much more data to make it perfect, but it's a huge help because otherwise, there's 200 questionnaires that take a lot of time.
I think that's the tough part, though, is like you want to trust what AI is giving you. But if you really look at it, it can give you some stuff that's really out of pocket. And so it's like we're trying to find this happy medium of like, how much do we automate versus how much do we have the sales rep do? Do we automatically send out a follow-up email? Right now, probably not. Like, I don't think AI is there yet where we can trust our business with it, but
Sure.
do we script that out for the rep and then they can go and make some edits and send it? Yes, they could probably do that. I think, AI is as strong as your prompting is. So we have like prompt engineers whose like jobs are like solely to work on like what are the prompts going to be for AI once we're working on it. And they're the ones who built out our internal tool at the moment, and they're always going in and adding more prompts, and so you could just go click whichever prompt you need. But I think a lot of people just think like, let me just type something into ChatGPT and it'll give me an answer, and it's like,
Yeah.
you got to give us some details. You got to tell it your, name, your phone number, all this stuff, your work history. What are you doing? Your company history, all this stuff, probably your social security number if you need
Let's hope not.
at
Yeah.
this point. And then it'll give you better answers. It's only as strong as you make it. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. And wow, that would be a whole nother conversation to chat with one of the prompt engineers. I'd love to
good.
learn more about that. But that's amazing. Thank you very much for running us through that. I'm super impressed that Asana is taking this initiative to just get out in front of it and try to leverage AI as much as possible by either building or buying, but to help benefit the teams. It's good to see that people are keeping up and trying to stay ahead of the curve versus just getting swept away.
Always. We're always thinking ahead. We're always trying to like think at least a year ahead, 2 years ahead. So it's what we got to do. It's like, okay, AI, sure, let's do it.
Michelle, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for running us through all that. I learned a ton, and I'll look forward to a couple of things. I'm going to look forward to following up to see how the AI projects actually pan out, and also to trying to test some of your baking.
I promise I'll have something ready for you next time you're out. Thank you
Yeah,
so
no
much
pressure.
thanks for having me on. I always love interacting with your team. So, it's been great talking to you again and looking forward to updating you in the future.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Michelle, and thank you for everyone for joining. If you want to check out more, you can come to the website. Check us out at tractioncomplete.com/revenue optimists or on LinkedIn, and you can subscribe to get all the latest updates.